Something extremely dangerous just happened. The President of the United States just dropped a message that stopped the entire planet in its tracks. In one post, he wrote, "A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again." I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. However, now that we have complete and total regime change, where different, smarter, and less radicalized minds prevail, maybe something revolutionarily wonderful can happen. Who knows? We will find out tonight, one of the most important moments in the long and complex history of the world. 47 years of extortion, corruption, and death will finally end. God bless the great people of Iran. That's not a threat, that's a countdown clock ticking down to zero. But here's the part that should really worry you. This kind of message doesn't come out unless something is already in motion, not being planned, not being discussed, already moving. Right now, every intelligence agency on Earth is in full crisis mode. Military bases from the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean are at the highest possible alert. Fighter jets are scrambled, missile defense systems are active, and the Strait of Hormuz, that narrow 21-mile-wide choke point that carries nearly 20% of the world's daily oil supply, has become the most dangerous stretch of water on the planet. Iran has repeatedly threatened to mine it, block it, or sink tankers in it if pushed too far. The president's words suggest they might never get that chance. Let me explain what just happened. This isn't a random late-night rant. This comes after more than a month of direct war between Israel, the United States, and Iran. Israeli jets have conducted deep strikes inside Iranian territory, hitting missile factories, air defenses, and Revolutionary Guard bases. Iran has fired back with waves of ballistic missiles and drones. The US has positioned multiple carrier strike groups in the region, moved thousands of additional troops, and made it crystal clear that any attack on American forces will trigger overwhelming retaliation. And now this message. The signal is unmistakable. Tonight could be the night the Iranian regime as we know it collapses. Not in months, not in weeks, tonight. Here's what people on the ground are already experiencing. In Tehran and other major cities, the power grid is unstable. Neighborhoods go dark suddenly, lights flicker. You then die for minutes at a time. Internet blackouts hit without warning. People trying to withdraw money from ATMs find the machines frozen mid-transaction. Hospitals are quietly switching to emergency generators. Government offices have restricted access. Markets closed early. Families are rushing to pull out whatever cash they can, stocking up on food, water, and medicine, and quietly talking about what real regime change looks like when it arrives from the sky at supersonic speed. Down in the south along the Gulf Coast, oil workers are being pulled out of facilities. Tankers are diverting away from Iranian ports. The ports themselves are on lockdown. The fear is thick. You can feel it in every report coming out. This isn't normal tension anymore. This is the edge of something much bigger. And no one knows yet if the first blows have already landed in secret. But here's where it gets interesting. The president didn't say the word nuclear. He described something more precise and potentially more devastating. The total erasure of a civilization's ability to function as a modern state, overnight. We're talking coordinated strikes that could take down the entire power grid. Destruction of every major oil export terminal and refinery, cyber attacks that paralyze the banking system and communications networks, possible special operations and internal allies triggering uprisings from within. The explicit goal: complete and total regime change. Think about it for a second. 47 years since the 1979 Islamic Revolution. Decades of the regime building a shadow empire through Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, and other proxies. Secret nuclear work, constant threats to close the strait, economic mismanagement that has left ordinary Iranians struggling while the elite and the guard got rich. The president is saying, loud and clear, that era ends tonight. Let me break down the system that's about to break. Iran's entire power structure rests on three fragile pillars: oil revenue, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, and raw fear. Take out the oil terminals and the money that funds everything dries up instantly. Hit the guard's command centers, missile sites, and leadership, and the muscle that holds the regime together is crippled. Once the fear evaporates because the state can no longer deliver electricity, pay salaries, or control the narrative, the streets can take over. That's the playbook. seconds, and every indication is that tonight's operations are designed to make this cascade happen faster than the regime can respond. Because once one pillar falls, the others don't hold. Power goes down. Communications collapse. Communications collapse. Coordination between military units disappears. Coordination disappears. Control of the country is lost. And when control is lost in a country of 90 million people with deep internal divisions, things can spiral very quickly. The root cause of this moment has been building for years. Israel has watched Iran creep closer and closer to nuclear weapons capability, with breakout time shrinking to dangerous levels. The United States grew exhausted with sanctions that never fully stopped the threat. Proxy wars in Gaza, Lebanon, Yemen, and attacks on shipping kept bleeding the region. In the latest direct exchanges, missile barrages, assassinations, and infrastructure hits finally pushed everyone past the point of no return. Tehran made strategic mistake after strategic mistake, overestimating its own strength, underestimating the resolve of its enemies, and believing the world would simply watch. But here's where things start to fall apart for the entire region and beyond. If Iran's ability to function as a coherent state is erased overnight, the shockwaves won't stop at the border. Oil prices could spike dramatically within hours. $150, $200 a barrel or more. Shipping through the Strait of Hormuz could grind to a halt. Gulf states like Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Kuwait could face direct Iranian retaliation attacks. Israel would almost certainly see another massive barrage of missiles. Woody global supply chains for energy would break. Inflation would surge. Stock markets would tumble. We're talking real risk of a worldwide recession triggered by one night of destruction. This isn't isolated. This is deeply interconnected. Energy markets, shipping routes, military alliances, and economic stability are all linked. You have to ask yourself, is this really just about regime change in Iran? Or is something much larger unfolding in real time? So what's really happening here? Because none of this feels normal anymore. One theory is that this is a meticulously calculated military operation. The US and Israel have reportedly mapped out every critical node in Iran's infrastructure for years. Tonight's potential strikes would be conventional but overwhelming and surgical, designed to break the regime's backbone without turning the country into a radioactive wasteland. The tweet itself is classic psychological warfare, meant to make IRGC commanders hesitate, defect, or stand down rather than fight to the end. Another possibility is that it's the ultimate bluff, maximum pressure designed to force the leadership into surrender or exile. The terrifying language about civilization dying is the scare tactic to make them choose survival over total destruction. But there's also a darker explanation that keeps analysts up at night. What if the window for anything short of devastating action has already closed? What if certain facilities and command structures have been pre-targeted in such a way that the only way to guarantee fast, total, irreversible regime change involves strikes so powerful they literally reshape the map of the Middle East in one night? Reports suggest critical sites were already being softened up in previous waves. Early signs indicate diplomacy may have run out of road days ago. We simply don't know how far the hammer will fall. And that uncertainty is the most dangerous part right now. We don't know if the first major strikes have already begun in the shadows. We don't know if Iran has a desperate Samson option-style retaliation already moving, closing the strait, attacking Gulf oil facilities, or launching everything they have left. We don't know how Russia, China, or other powers will respond if this crosses certain red lines. And the unusual silence or delayed reaction from Tehran's top leadership only makes the tension worse. In moments like this, silence usually means the biggest decisions have already been made behind closed doors. If you're finding this useful and want to stay ahead of the news, hit like and subscribe right now. Because this story is moving faster than any mainstream outlet can keep up with, and you're going to want every single update as it drops. This isn't just about Iran anymore. This is about energy security for the entire planet. It's about the future of power balances in the Middle East. It's about how quickly modern societies can collapse when their critical infrastructure is systematically targeted. Once a system starts breaking under this kind of pressure, it doesn't respect borders. It spreads. And here's the reality almost no one wants to say out loud. If something devastating has already been triggered tonight, we might not hear the full details immediately. We'll feel it first, in sudden jumps in gas prices at the pump, in panicked trading on markets, in strange silences from capitals that should be talking. By the time the full picture emerges, we won't be watching the beginning. We'll already be living in the aftermath. The clock is ticking. A whole civilization stands on the edge right now. And nobody, not the experts, not the generals, not the intelligence agencies, and not even the people at the very top, knows exactly how this night will end. Stay glued to this channel, turn on notifications, because what unfolds in the next few hours could redraw the map of the Middle East, spike global energy costs for years, and change the course of international relations for a generation. We are witnessing history in real time, and it's happening tonight.